before that, are you good? Like, do you want to get like a cup of tea while we talk, some water or something?
Um, Let me put some earrings on.
I am so happy to introduce our DMV Afrobeat R&B queen, Germany-born Nigerian gal, okay, with her single and music video out now,
You.
Simi Liadi.
Thank you. And thank you for saying my last name right. Oh my gosh.
Of course, Niger, you gotta,
Oh wait,
sister.
you're Nigerian?
I'm Nigerian, sister. We got, okay, all right, come on.
Exactly. No, I like this.
Exactly.
I like this.
Exactly. So, thank you so much for
Of
being a
course.
part of Teddy's Vinyl Club Women's History Month segment. Again, just to reiterate, this month we're taking a moment. Honestly, I'm trying to extend it past the moment, but we're trying to just shine a light and give flowers to women who we just admire, whose work that we love, who are just the baddest, you know? So, and you in there, you in there. So,
Thank you.
let's see. Just so you know, I do have my iPad here. I have like little notes and stuff. So if you see my eyes like dip out,
Oh
I'm
yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem.
locked in. All right, let's see. So just to start off, I am always so curious with any artist, depending on like what their medium is. So for you, you started what, like at like 12 years old type of thing, like way, way back in the day, and you're still doing music. So the question is, why music? Like, what is it that has always just brought you back to that medium?
So I mean, like, I've been singing since I was 12. I didn't start making music till like literally, I guess it'll be like almost 5 years ago now.
Hmm.
But like music has just always been a part of my life and like integrated and like woven so into it that's kind of
Hmm.
hard for me to like
Get
leave
away
music
from it.
like
Yeah, yeah.
you know like I love to sing, like my choir background, but even outside of that, like I love music, I love
Right.
listening to music, I love singing music. Like it's fun for me, it's enjoyable, it helps me connect to myself and others,
Mhm.
and even to like spiritual experiences that I just can't get in the regular
Right.
day to day, or like in other mediums. I mean, like I love dancing as well, and I think, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm always going to be a dancer as well, but
Great, great. Yes, yes.
like they're just it's like an extension of myself. Like there really isn't any me without singing. So it's not even a matter
Mm.
of like why did I pick it? It's really just like this is already who I am. Like
Yeah.
I can't remove this aspect of myself, and
Mhm.
it literally is an
A part
attachment.
of you. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
part of me, exactly.
Package deal. Okay, awesome. Can you kind of delve deeper into what you mentioned, a connection with like spirituality there? Can you dive a little deeper into that? Because I feel like, because this is one of my, we're now at this point, we're going to be jumping around in questions because I was curious in terms of like when it comes to art, what you feel your purpose is. So I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a like a Venn diagram situation with like
Yeah.
spirituality and purpose with
Yeah.
the music. So just please, I'm curious on that.
Yeah. So I think because when I say spiritual, I don't even mean it to be like towards like even a specific religion or anything like
Hmm.
that. It's just kind of like it it's like feels otherworldly. Like, like if you
Mm.
know the movie Soul,
Hmm. Oh, yes.
kind of like that creative
Yes,
space. Not what they
yes.
called it in the movie,
Hmm.
but that is like exactly what I'm talking about. Like it takes you to a place in your mind that's just like, you can't really replicate it in your day to day. And that's
Right.
what I consider to be something that's like, spiritual. And I think even like when it comes to my purpose, like I feel like, I describe myself as somebody with a very big personality.
Hmm.
A lot of people like they know me to be like life of the party, and
Hmm.
like I'm loud, I'm boisterous, I can be brash, like all of those
Right.
things. But more than anything, I feel like, you know, I want to make an impact, and I don't have to be like
Mm.
Dochi said something, and I love my girl Dochi. She
Yes,
said
yes.
something that she doesn't necessarily want to be like the biggest influence, or like the most like what did she say, like essentially she doesn't need to be the biggest star. She
Right.
wants to be the influence for the biggest stars. And I feel like that's kind of
Mm,
like how I think about myself. Like I know I'm meant for the spotlight. I know I'm meant for the limelight, but more than
mhm.
anything, I just want my music to make people feel good. Like I want it
Right.
to, or not even just feel good, but like feel,
Feel
period.
something. Right.
Yeah, I feel like I always resonate, or like the best compliments that I get about my music is when people are like, "Oh yeah, like I was listening to your music during this point of my life and like it really helped me to get through this, or it
Right.
really, you know, like made me feel, heard or whatever, like, oh, this feels really relatable. Like I know it,
Hmm.
I've felt this before." That's what
Absolutely.
I want my impact to be like. Everything that comes out from that is like, like period, yes.
Right,
But
right.
I feel like for nothing else, just knowing that my art is inspiring somebody, whether that's to feel something, to do something, to say something, like
Mhm.
I just want to be an inspiration in some way.
That's
That was so a
amazing.
lot, but yeah.
No, I love that. I think that um I think a lot of us we get caught up in just being this big thing of some sort, like especially with the way that we have social media, we have so much access to all of these big, quote unquote stars. We're like, that's what I need to be. And I think that along the way, sometimes we lose sight of like, okay, but what are you doing like within your circle, within your
Right.
community? That's causing the most of a ripple effect, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what really you need to stay grounded in. So, and I'm curious, so how do you, if you ever kind of stray from that, how do you bring yourself back to that in terms of like, okay, let's stay focused, like this is what like the goal is, this is what the purpose is.
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of had that experience like last year, kind of um after Closer and all of that. I started feeling like really burnt out, and I was like, I don't even know
Mm,
like what I'm doing. Like I feel kind of like lost right now.
right.
And what always brings me back is the music itself, like just falling back in love with music and the process. Because I think like even the desire to be an inspiration, right? Like I feel like sometimes a lot of pressure can be put on yourself with that. Like, oh, I gotta really do some big stuff. Like I gotta make
Right.
sure, everything that I'm doing is hard hitting. But the way that I think about it, right, is like if you are already gonna be an inspiration, you don't have to do more to be an inspiration.
Mm,
Like you don't have to like think about being an inspiration. You just are.
you just are, you
So
just have to be. Okay, yeah.
yeah. So if
Mm-hmm.
anything, you just need to return to yourself and really remind yourself, okay, this is why I love doing what I'm doing. This is why I love making music,
Mm-hmm.
and staying true to yourself is how you deepen your relationship with your creativity.
Mm,
And that's what makes it more true to you. And that is what creates those original pieces of work that become inspirations for other people. Like you can't become an inspiration being somebody else.
being a copy, yeah, being a
Right. Because
copycat
then
of
you're
it,
just
yeah.
an imitation. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I get, caught up in a lot of stuff, because especially like at the point that I am in my music career,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like in the middle where it's like, if I really put in the work, I could be
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I could really be stuck. And so for me, the way to get out of that or to keep going is, discipline, but also just researching myself, researching
Mm,
my creativity, spending a lot of time just doing things that I want to do, making it fun for myself,
mm-hmm.
because it's through that you find the things that are meant to propel you. That's kind of like
Right.
how I think about it.
I like that a lot. That's interesting. I act, and I'm currently enrolled in this theater school where
Mm.
one of our is he always drops. You know how a teacher, he just be dropping. He was saying to us, he was like, the key to really excelling is depth, you know?
Yes,
Depth and honesty, because there's a difference. I mean, anybody can be an actor, anybody can be a musician, so to speak, right? But
literally.
right, well, yeah, anybody can anybody can do whatever the hell they want, right?
Like
So
quite literally,
but
yeah.
it's like, but what message are you sending if it's not one that's actually yours, if it's not coming from yourself? And he was telling us, he was like, some people it's don't have that depth. but it's not something that you cannot gain through consistent studying of yourself, of the world around you, of like opening your mind up and yourself up. So when you said that, it really, I was like, it's just so fascinating, how all of these different, they always come together.
It
Everything is
all ties
connected.
together. It's
It's
all
crazy.
connected.
Oh
Like
my God. Ooh,
seriously.
goosebumps. I love it. Okay.
It's
Yes.
literally all connected. And
Yes,
it like
I
it
love
really
that.
comes down to like, can I cuss?
Of course.
Oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
like, what do you give a fuck about? Like, for
Right.
real. Like,
Right.
it literally comes down to the, like, what do you give a fuck about? Like, for
Right.
real. Because if you don't really care
It's gonna
about
show.
anything,
Yeah.
nothing that you will create will have any depth to it because,
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you actually talking about, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's not like you gotta really care about if you don't care about deep stuff, like that's fine, but like really
Sure.
lean into it all the way, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Lean into it all the way because what makes creative things last is that depth and like
Mm-hmm.
it transcending its time. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, oh, I made this as like a period for this period of time or this person that I am.
Right.
It's like, no, I tapped into this emotion. I tapped into this,
It's
deep
timeless. Yeah.
rooted thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes it timeless,
Mm-hmm.
literally. So,
Absolutely. Speaking of timeless, let's talk about your music.
oh,
Let's
don't
Girl.
flatter me. Like,
Girl, first of all, I discovered you through I'm a big diehard SZA. That's my girl. So that supermodel cover, I
oh
was like
my gosh,
years
really?
ago because I when I reached out to you on Instagram,
Oh, it was that.
I was gonna introduce myself and I was like, oh, we've already chatted a little bit because at some point I was probably in my room with headphones on, like, "Ugh,
Oh
yes,
my
thank you,
gosh.
girl."
No, that was the
But oh
era.
my gosh, I mean, you know who you are. You are exactly who you think you are, first and foremost, okay? But
Thank you.
Sunset, oh, of course. I mean, come on, that's what this is for, Women's History Month. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Sunset is the soundtrack to my bike rides. Like, oh my gosh. It's the way that you float on the track in this ethereal way that just gives me these goosebumps where it's like I can listen to that on repeat, like lights off, like every just vibing. Where were you for that? Like mentally, where were you?
Yeah. It's so funny because I did not even write that song for the intention of releasing it, like at
Oh,
all.
really?
Yes, I had just gone through a breakup
Mm, mm.
and it took a toll on me, I won't
Yeah,
lie.
yeah, yeah.
And I used Sunset like as an outlet for my feelings.
Mm.
Funny enough, I think I wrote the song before we actually experienced the breakup, but it was because like I could see
Oh,
the imminent future. Like I was like, no, like it's
it's
getting like,
happening. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
and so I
Wow.
used Sunset to process my feelings. And I remember, like I had wrote the whole song, I did the whole thing. I didn't, nobody listened to the song until I was ready to release it. And I was like, okay, actually, I think I'm gonna put this out. So I sent it to my manager and I was like, I'm putting out the song, we're getting it mixed by this person, and like that's the end of that. Like even the cover art was like, I
Hmm.
had a photographer friend that took a, like, I just needed a picture of a sunset. He had a picture of a sunset,
Perfect.
and that was it. And like
Oh my
I think
gosh.
it's one of my personal favorite tracks,
Hmm.
honestly. Like sometimes I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, girl, like, oh my
Trenches.
gosh,
Like
like
you were fighting for your life. Like,
fighting, like, oh
yes.
my gosh. And I was tapped into a part of myself that was really, really deep. Like,
Hmm.
and sometimes I'm like, let me find that again because like,
Yeah.
damn. But yeah, like I love Sunset. I really do have like there's a special place in my heart for that song just because of how it helped me work through my feelings of something that I
Mm.
had never experienced before.
Hmm.
And but not only that, but because I wrote it in such a way where it's like you didn't necessarily have to go through what I went through to feel how I felt. And that was what I
Absolutely.
really wanted to emphasize with that song. And with my
Hmm.
writing in general, like I want it to be like specific enough that it's like exactly the feeling I'm talking about, but
Hmm.
not so specific that like you can still feel it even though
Hmm.
you haven't been through the exact situation that I've been through. Like you don't
Right.
have to go through to understand the feeling.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
you're
yeah.
a phenomenal storyteller. You
Thank
are
you.
your ability to do that is it's spot on. So
Thank you so much.
perfect. And what else? Okay. I have two more songs to talk about. Oh, well, I have the whole catalog to talk about, but I'm gonna keep it to two more. Home.
Another
Home
fan favorite. Yeah.
is jarring. That one is like, ugh, like a gut punch. The
Yeah.
way to the point where to some extent I was, turning it over a little bit. I was like, this is could definitely be specific to romantic love,
Hmm.
but it has the potential to even be a reflection of like familial love.
That's what I was writing about, actually. It was not a romantic.
Come
So you
on,
you caught
Rachel.
it. You got it.
Come on. Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
was literally writing about like familial love at the time. It was when I was just
Wow.
going through some rough patches with family, and as African first generation African children,
Maybe that's why I picked up on it.
yeah, that's probably why. Like it's just kind of that feeling of like, yes, I live here and this is where my house is, like, right? But like, it doesn't feel like
Like
a home in
home.
the way that like I
Mhm.
feel comfortable or I feel like I'm seen or I feel like I'm heard. And that was kind of the place that I was writing from. Now, of course, it can be applied to
Right.
type of love. But when I
Hmm.
was writing about it, it was just that very specific feeling of like,
Hmm.
you're living in this house with this family, but it doesn't feel like a
Oh,
home should.
yes.
It just feels like, okay, this is the place where I
I
have it
just
to
stay here. Yeah.
pray.
Oh,
So
and
yeah, I'm glad that
maybe it
that
was
was,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the African in me really that Nigerian you when the birds leave the nest and they learn to fly, the sky doesn't change for them and the rain keeps on falling, right? First of all, all the wings stuff, I just kept hearing my parents' voice, don't make me clip your wings. I said,
Uh-huh.
wait, this is feeling. But it was that that line where it's like, okay, so yes, I'm evolving and I'm growing, or at least this was my perception of it. But it's like even with me growing and being able to fly away, that environment is still present.
Mm-hmm.
The rain is still falling, the
Falling.
sky isn't changing because wherever I came from is still, it's still remaining the same.
Yes. I always love hearing like people's interpretations of my music. Like I don't get to hear it very often. So when I do, it's just like, wow, like, you know? Cause like even like I think that's a fantastic interpretation. And it's very close to kind of like what I was
Hmm.
writing about when I did. Cause when I was writing about it, I was like, even when you escape life, you know,
Right.
it's
Still
still like
lifing.
no, but basically like life doesn't wait for you. Life doesn't feel sorry for you,
Hmm.
right? So like, you know, it's like you leave this nest, right? And it's
Hmm.
like you're still carrying all that trauma with you. So it's
Right.
like, and then on top of that, life is hard. So,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, like you don't know
Right.
which one to choose. It's like you stay in this trap or you leave, but then your wings get wet and
Hmm.
there's thunderstorms and then you still have all this trauma from from where you came from. So like
Absolutely.
literally, yes, like it encapsulates kind of like all of that is what I was writing
Hmm.
from. That just like, you know, the sky does not change for you. Like
Mm,
you have to basically still figure it out. And how you were raised does affect how you figure that out. So
absolutely. Oh, I love that. Oh, I'm having the time of my life right now. Oh, girl, I'm living right
oh
now.
my gosh, no, this is good. Like I'm enjoying myself, period.
And now The Hills. So this song really stood out to me from the rest of your catalog because it has this essence of like I'm curious about whether you personally experienced this Hollywood style materialism that it depicts, like the whole glamorous on the surface, but
Yeah.
then on the other end, it's like when you take a closer look, it's not that. So
Right.
I'm curious because the rest, I mean, like I said, it stood out from your catalog because I was like, oh, this is different. I want like what has been your experience with that, if at all?
So I definitely made that up.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
I
Honesty. We
definitely did.
like that. Okay.
I feel like with music, I kind of take one or two directions. Like I'm either writing from like very, very personal experiences, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling stories.
Just
Like I love,
chatting. Just
I love
chatting.
telling stories, whether they're mine
Right.
or somebody else's. But
Period.
I just, no matter if I'm telling a story or if it's me, I try to put myself in the position of that. And
Mm-hmm.
like, while I haven't experienced like the double life of Hollywood and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, especially, I grew up in the age of social media, somebody
Right.
presenting one thing, but
It's
behind
like
closed
it's
doors,
another.
it's not
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean? And I think
absolutely.
like everybody can relate to the feeling of like, you having an expectation for something like, oh, I really
Mm-hmm.
wanna, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then you get it and you realize
It's like,
this wasn't really what I
right.
wanted, like,
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
just kind of like the place I was writing from. I just thought it was a funny, or not funny, but a fun, like,
Yeah.
interpretation of that. And I think like the beat name was like Beverly Hills or something like that. So I was like,
Ooh,
oh, like
perfect.
let me just, create a little story and
Mm-hmm.
see where it goes. So not a
Okay.
personal experience, but definitely, not something that's like super uncommon. So
Right. I mean, but you've come to a point in your career where I feel like maybe there have been times to some extent where something does seem like one thing and it's really another, especially with, I mean, I personally, I feel like you're up there. I think, I mean, hey,
I appreciate that,
and you're
honestly.
just
Like,
gonna
we
keep
working, but
going.
thank you.
So, but I mean, have you had experiences even like on a smaller scale where you're like expecting one thing or being told one thing and it's like, oh, this is not like what I thought it would be.
Yes. I think in this industry, especially when you are a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed creative and you're just ready to work
Mm-hmm.
and everything just seems so optimistic, like you will get disappointed a lot by
Yeah.
people that just lots of like broken promises, lots of, and sometimes it's not even their fault. Like the way the industry works, it's not a very reliable system. Like things fall through. There's so many people that have to go through a process
Mm-hmm.
before something can be cleared or something
Right.
can happen and stuff. So I've definitely had my fair share of like just expectation versus reality
Reality.
type of
Right.
things. And it used to really get to me, like where it's like, oh my gosh, like they don't give a fuck about me, or like,
Right.
oh, they
Right.
don't care, like, da da da. But, and I mean, I haven't experienced everything for real, but I've just learned not to take it as seriously, like, or not to take it personally.
Mm.
Cause
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna happen. It's just the reality of the line of work that, we're in. Your
Mm-hmm.
expectations will not be met all the time. Promises will be broken. We're
Mm.
human and the industry is very fickle. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to happen. So I try not to take it personally. And what I do also more than that is I've learned how important it is to just build a community on my own and not be so
Mm.
dependent on people that are above me. It's like what Issa Rae says about networking across.
Yep.
I take that very
Absolutely.
seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I've built a network for myself here that I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
at least I know for sure, for as long as it stands, I can
Mm-hmm.
depend on these people for these things. And I don't need to look up for these people and up at these expectations.
Right.
And even when I get opportunities, I'm like, okay, cute. Let's see the workings, like show workings before I start
Right.
feeling committed to stuff. And I think it's okay to feel excited about things and then they fall through. Like you shouldn't feel pessimistic about everything.
Yeah.
Like I've had opportunities that I felt really excited for and then they just didn't work out.
Right.
And that's okay. You can feel disappointed. What that shows me though, that it's like, okay, that means I'm closer to where I need to be. Because if I'm getting opportunities like these, it
Right.
means I'm on the right track. Even if
Right.
it didn't work, it just means like if it's not gonna happen now, it's just gonna happen later.
Right.
So I try not to take it too personally and then also just build my own network so that I don't have to rely on being seen by someone above me. I
Mm-hmm.
can just work on what I got here and then whoever needs to see it is going to see it, period.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. That is such a word. That is such a word right there because it's true. It's like, people are too busy DMing. Why can't I think of anybody right now? Like, but well, Issa Rae, because you just said Issa Rae. But it's like people are too busy, like, hey, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? Meanwhile, your homegirl's a writer. Meanwhile, your
Yeah.
cousin he has a camera. It's like lock in. Like,
Like
let's
literally
work
lock in.
together.
And
Ugh,
it's like you're not afraid to DM Issa Rae, but you're afraid to DM of a videographer that's in your area that's really, really good and you just never
right.
met them before. Like, don't be afraid. Like, let me tell you, I'm not afraid to send a DM. I do not
Period.
care. And rejection doesn't faze me because
Hmm.
oblate delayed is not oblate
That's
denied. Like,
exactly
period. Like, if I get aired, it don't got nothing to
okay.
do with me.
Right. That's
That's
a
just
you thing. That's a you
that's a
thing.
you thing.
Because
Like, you just didn't want to.
I was just doing my best. I'm just trying. That's it.
Like,
And
there's
you're
so
gonna
many
clown me for trying?
opportunities that I've
Mm-mm.
gotten, or at least like very cool people that I've met simply from either them DMing me or me DMing them. Like,
Right.
you got to learn how to build your community within your community, because it's not fair for you to expect the people around you to support you and you don't return that favor either. Like,
Mm-mm.
you want all your peoples to fuck with your music. You're not working with people in your community that are good. And I mean, of course, it comes with its things, right? Like, not
Right.
everybody in your community is looking out for you,
For sure.
but not everybody up there is looking out for you either.
It's
So,
you're less
like, that's just the
likely.
name of the
Right.
game. Like, you just figuring it out. So,
Hmm.
I have my network of people here that I love, and I'm still meeting people. I'm still learning about people. And as I elevate, I find people that are elevated or want to elevate with me or a little above me, and I can learn things from. You just have to just look at your plane,
Right.
your eye level.
Just
You
look
keep
around.
looking up.
It's not
What's
you
up?
just you look you're looking up. You're
It's
looking
not
you just
always, you can, like, don't be so
right.
dependent on that as the thing. Of course, you
Absolutely.
gotta people gotta notice you, right? But don't be dependent
Hmm.
on that attention from up there that you ignore all the things that you could be utilizing on your level.
Absolutely. Oh, perfect. Perfect answer. Oh. She's killing it. She's killing. All right, now I have I mean, oh, I'm, I mean, it being Women's History Month and whatnot, I would love to know what it means for you to be a woman in your industry and how has that empowered you? How has it affected you? How has that just influenced your sound, everything, just what it means to be a woman, and even more specifically, a Black woman, and even more
Yeah.
specifically, a
I,
Nigerian woman, let's down to the details.
no, listen, it's so many layers, because I was already
Hmm.
going to talk about just Black women. Like, that's just the experience that I come from. Like, I can't speak for, I can only speak for my own experience.
Right.
And that experience is of a Black woman. So I think, like, I my music will always be for Black women first.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
not that I don't write for
Oh, of
the
course.
general
Of
population or
course.
whatever. Like,
Everybody should
everybody
listen,
can relate to
guys.
my music.
Yes.
But my viewpoint is always going to be by and for Black women,
Mm-hmm.
because that's who I am. That's the relationships that I have on my day to day. Most of my friends are Black people. Most of
Mm-hmm.
my friends are Black women.
Right.
I write for them. Like, that's who I write for. And I think,
Right.
like, you know, let's talk about Doechii. I love Doechii so bad.
I
Like,
know. I just
so that's mother. That is mother. Like, but it's very, very important in a world and an industry that constantly looks down on Black women or forces them to be in a box, for Black women to be as forward facing as possible. Like, I'm going to show up raw and
Mhm.
unfiltered. We need that. Like, y'all don't know what Black
Absolutely.
are like for real. Y'all don't. Y'all have these images in your head of what you think they are. You have these boxes that you put us in,
Hmm.
and you know people need to wake up and smell the roses. Like, this is what it means to be a
Hmm.
Black woman, raw and unfiltered. That's what I make music for. And I think, like, just even as a woman, sometimes, like, working with other men in the industry, I mean, I've met some amazing, great guys, that I work with. My manager is a man, but
Hmm.
that's my guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, you have the experiences of, like, people using, like, one thing I hate, hate, hate is when men try to use my music or my art to try and, like, go smack at me, or I don't know if you know that lingo. Try to, flirt with me or
Yeah,
get
like
with
get
me.
at you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hate it. Like,
What is that? DMV lingo?
yeah.
Oh, I like that. What'd you say? Let me get a little
Go
less.
smack, like, you trying to go smack at me, basically, like,
You're
you're trying
trying to go
to.
smack at me. Like, yeah. All right.
But, like,
Word.
it feels very like you don't take what I do seriously. Because why are you trying to use this as a
Mm.
means to to get my number. Like, oh, I want to work with you. Let me get your number. And now you're in my phone talking about, so, what you trying to do? You don't
Yeah.
take me seriously. And that type of
Immediately
stuff
no.
pisses me off. It really
Yeah.
do. Because like if you wanna chat to me, just chat to me.
Just
Don't
chat
try
to
and
me.
use
Don't try to do that
my
ulterior. Yeah.
livelihood to get with me. Like you don't need to do all that. It's a difference between appreciation and mockery. You're mocking me right now, period. But anyways, I think like sometimes it can feel a little discouraging, like especially when you see the way that dark skinned women are treated
Mm-hmm.
in the music industry, how it takes so long before we get our flowers,
Mm-hmm.
constantly being copied but never being credited. It can be really nerve-wracking. Like, you know, I remember at some point I was like, do I really want to go through all of that? Like,
Mm.
I know I'm talented, I know I'm good at what I do, but will it be worth
Right.
it if the color of my skin, especially with me being dark skinned, they're already gonna look at me and be like, oh, she don't got the image, she don't got the whatever. And I realized that one, thinking like that is only making them win. And I don't like losing.
Mm.
So we not
Period.
like that's not happening. Like, you know what I'm
Naija no
saying?
they carry last.
Not like
We
no, they carry less at
no they carry.
all.
We don't
Yeah.
like to lose.
No, I do not like to lose.
Period.
And like besides that, it's like yeah, okay, it's gonna be a little harder because I'm a black woman. But when has that not been true?
Right.
Like I've been living this reality for my whole life. So like, what's another thing? You know what I'm saying? And if I can be somebody that can make it easier for the next black girl,
Why not? Of
why not?
course.
And then being African on top of that, I feel like now that Afrobeats is kind of like globalizing, it's both good and bad in my opinion. Like I think like it's really good that you know people are seeing the depth of what Afrobeats really is. Like
Been hip
I'm
to it. Yeah, it's like I
not
yeah.
even just Afrobeats, but like
Mm-hmm.
alt culture, Afro house, Afro pop. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been sharp, and I'm glad to see that like these things are starting to really get the credit that they
Yeah,
deserve. But it also
absolutely.
means that people are gonna have the audacity to take part in things that they don't have any knowledge about,
Right.
which is what always happens. I mean, it happened with reggae. It happened with what else did it happen with? It happens with all like any genre that
Mm-hmm.
comes and gets globalized. Is there's a
It's
lot
a
of people.
double-edged sword for sure.
It is, and I'm not
Yeah.
even saying that people shouldn't delve into it, but
Mm-hmm.
it can get disrespectful.
Right.
But at the end of the day, my Africanness is just as much a part of me as everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even consider myself like, oh, I'm like an African, like I am an African girl that makes music. And whatever
Mm-hmm.
the output of that is just me. And so
Right.
it's going to have Afrobeats influences, it's going to have gospel influences, it's going to have R&B influences because that's an amalgamation of who I am.
Right.
Period. So I'm not here to be the spokesperson of any one genre, not at
Mm-hmm.
all. What I am saying is that just put some respect on the names that deserve it, right? Because
Absolutely.
the pioneers for these genres need to be respected. Just because it's globalized doesn't mean that you can, you know,
Discredit them and just
discredit or
yeah.
like act like they don't exist. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Especially the women of these genres, especially African women of these genres. Because I feel like sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve for being
Mm-hmm.
monumental parts of these music movements.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and speaking of pioneers, now I have to know who are I mean, give me top three, four, five, six, seven, give me top whatever. Like, who has really just had the most impact on you, on your sound, on everything?
So I'm gonna start from the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, Asha is a Nigerian artist
Yes,
that
yes.
I grew up on. Like
Hmm.
that is my bread of that's mother for real. Like
That's mother. That's
that's
OG
that's
mother.
literally
That's
mother for
the
real.
right,
Asha.
right.
Like when I used to sing, like people would say I sounded like her, and because the music I was listening to up to that point was either like gospel, like African American gospel, or
Mm,
it was like traditional Afro beats.
right.
Her being this like neo soul African inspired
Hmm.
artist was just so different from everything I've ever heard at this point at that time. And I was like, no, like this, I like this.
Right.
I need
Like that's
this.
it. That's
Like
it. That's it.
that's it. Yeah.
Right.
So she is definitely she's the reason why I started making music, I think, if
Oh,
anything.
wow.
Or even that I started having the confidence to sing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like, you know, SZA, Thames,
Yes.
um, they kind of, Thames especially because, like I said, I've been listening to Afrobeats for a long time, but Thames was my introduction into Alte, which is basically like alternative Afrobeats.
Right.
And that opened up a whole new world for me because I was like, this feels like music that I can actually make. Like this feels like this resonates with me because it's time, it's taking like inspiration from things that I already like R&B
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, other aspects of different types of music. So I was like, this makes so much sense.
Right.
Like
Like it's clicking. It's
it felt like it,
clicking.
you know, and like she really, I feel like what she did for me was bridge the gap for me between my
Mm-hmm.
love for Afro beats and my love for other music. Like I was like, I can actually combine these things and it can be cool. So like, let me do that, you know? And then of course, SZA, I think SZA with her storytelling, especially like that Control album, changed my life. It did. As it did for many,
She
you know,
put
women,
crack in
Black
it.
women
She put
especially.
something in that.
She put
She
crack
she
in
put
it.
something in that. She
And what I got the most from SZA is the idea of talking about something so specific,
Mm-hmm.
but also so ambiguous that I didn't even need to experience what you experienced to know exactly what this feels like. That's where
Mm.
that portion of my writing comes from. I was like, I studied down
Right.
because I was like, I need to know how she's able to like tug on a very specific heartstring. And I don't even need to know what she's really talking about. Like,
Right.
I'm 19, I haven't really experienced nothing, but I know this feeling.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that's what with everything that I do, I try to tap into that as much as I possibly can. So shout out to SZA. Lastly, Brandy.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's
Lord have
also
mercy.
mother. I have a lot
Yes.
of mothers,
Lots of
lots of
moms in the
moms.
building. Yes.
Brandy, she because of course with my African background, I didn't listen
Mhm.
to a lot of traditional R&B.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, as I got older, I was like, okay, you know, it's about time I start, you know, listening to all these things,
Yeah.
get
Like a little dibble
acclimated with,
dabble. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, the
Yeah.
music that I'm making, stuff like that. And Brandy was just like this, it just made sense. Like, especially with the
Mm-hmm.
harmonies, I'm a harmony girl down. I hope it's obvious in
Sure.
my music.
Oh,
I'm a
oh,
harmony
oh,
girl
it
down.
is. It is.
And you know that comes from my gospel background,
Mm-hmm.
but she took it and like the way she takes it and makes it something so much more, or not more interesting, but just makes it so interesting and
Yeah.
adds a different level of depth to it. And like I was like, I have to stand.
I must. I
Like
have no choice.
I have
There's
no
no there's
choice.
no
I
other
like I
option.
must.
My hands are tied. Like
Like
I have
I
to.
might like chain me at this point. Like I have
I
to
have
like I
to.
have no
Right.
choice but to stand. Like I
Right.
just she she just clicks for me as an artist. And especially with just vocal production and
Hmm.
layering and melodies and like it all makes sense. She just gets
I
it.
love
She
that.
does. And so yes. And then of course my recent mother is Dochi for a lots of obvious
For
reasons. But I
obvious
think
reasons. Yes.
the most of all is that I see so much of myself in her. And it's
Hmm.
really refreshing because, like I said, as a Black woman who is very loud, I take up a lot of space. I'm very boisterous. I
As
can
you
be very
should.
brash. Like, I've grappled with those aspects of my personality for a very long time because it's
Hmm.
unsettling for some people. Like, you know,
Hmm.
like seeing somebody that just takes up so much space. Like, if you see me at a party, girl, you need to see me at a party.
I think I might have to. I think we need to arrange that actually.
I'm telling
Actually.
you, I'm known in
Oh
my
yeah.
area for being the party girl, like, and
Actually
I
having a
feel like
reputation. I love that.
I can't help it. Like, I love
It's
to
just
party. Like, I really like to
love to
party for
party.
real.
Let's do a
But
little one too.
I think like I've grappled, like I said, with that aspect of my personality because sometimes I'm like, oh, like maybe I'm too much. Like maybe I need to
Mm,
like tone it down. Like, you know, not
right.
everybody likes that, or like I can't be this, you know, the center of attention all the time, da da da. And I feel like as I've started to get older and just really lean into that a little bit more and be more accepting of who I am, seeing somebody like Dochi is just all the more inspiring because
Absolutely.
like I said, I see so much of myself in her. And
Yeah.
as Black women, I think sometimes we are fed like certain archetypes of inspirations that we have to look towards, and we don't get the
Hmm.
full scope of different types of Black women just based on what the media wants us to see of Black women. Like,
Right.
there's only certain types of Black women that are
Yeah.
palatable and like acceptable. So she's just such a breath of fresh air for me, and it inspires me to just continue to lean in to the person that I already am.
Hmm.
Because if she can do it, I can definitely do it.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Oh,
So
I
yeah,
love that.
those are all my
Yeah.
moms,
Those,
including
those
my
are,
mother that I also love so much.
I love that. That's a fantastic list. That is like that's 10 out of 10.
Thank
All
you.
right, let's see. I mean, like we have jumped around so much and
I
answered
know,
all
right?
my questions. Let's see. I know you meant I got that. Oh wow, we answered that too. Oh wow, we hit that.
We
Uh,
are supreme yappers,
oh my
period.
God. I love a good yap session.
I love, girl.
I
Let
love
me
a
tell
good
you
yap.
something. I love a good yap. I
It
love
just
to chit chat.
uh give me a margarita, give me some chips and salsa, and I could just
Let me tell
ooh,
you the best yapping setup for me.
tell me.
Nice restaurant, music not
Yes.
too loud, but
Oh,
everything's
but
loud enough that nobody's really hearing our conversation.
right.
A proper bite, a nice
Oh,
little meal.
yes.
My drink of choice, a lemon drop.
Oh, oh,
That's my shit. That is my
yes.
shit. And juicy gossip. Who
Just
could
gossip.
ask for
And
more?
the lighting, not too dark,
Not too
not too
dark,
dark,
but
but
just dark
just
enough that it
right.
sets the
Yes.
ambiance. Who could ask
Yes.
for more? That is what life is all about.
I think so. That's what makes life worth living.
Life is worth
Worth
living.
living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a TikTok, like, girl, the way I be saying
I'm
stuff
chronically
sounds
online.
down,
I'm chronically online.
chronically online. Like,
Yeah.
all my brain is just filled of TikTok
Yeah.
sayings. Like, it's very bad, but
I would say I hate it, but it's not true. I really like that part about myself.
like, I'm sorry.
It's
Like, sorry
fun.
that I've quoted my sixth TikTok today. What are you
Like,
gonna
what are
do
you gonna
about it?
do? You know what? Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. You know
Exactly.
what? Let's see. So we're wrapping up now. And with little pieces of advice for, I mean, you've dropped so many gems at this point that I'm like, what else? What else can this can come from this mind? Okay.
Yeah.
But can you share a moment that, or a less, actually, not even a moment, a lesson? Because now I want to get really specific so that we can potentially share something with an audience where it's like, a good takeaway here and there.
Yeah.
So, can you share a lesson that maybe sparked a creative shift that made you feel fully like locked into your potential and redefining your approach to the way you work?
I think one thing I realized is like, you got to start taking yourself seriously.
Oh,
Like, you kind of do. Like, I think,
oh,
when I started, like, I mean, not to say it's not fun now, but, when I started, I was like, oh, I'm just a girl. I love making music. I mean, I like
right.
to sing, and,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is just like, the next step, like, whatever, cool. And obviously, like, I really, really loved it. And I've taken aspects of my artistry very seriously, but I realized, like, you have to take everything
Everything.
seriously. Like, even down to like when you're introducing yourself to people. Like, I've had to check myself with this too, because it's really easy to just, okay, say what your day job is. Because that's what you feel like is going to get people to
Yeah.
respect you, right? Like, oh, this
Yeah.
is what I do. But like, no, I'm an artist first. I
Period.
am. I'm a music artist first. And not only that, but I can and will be successful. So I had to realize that, like, you can't you have to take yourself seriously. Like, you literally do, because that's going to influence how disciplined that you are when it comes to your artistry. That's going to influence how you carry yourself within your own artistry. And I'm saying this and I'm clocking myself too, because even till now, like, it's still something that I'm like, oh, like, oh, I'm just a girl. But like, you're not.
You're not just a girl.
You're not just,
You're more.
you are that girl.
You're that
You know what I'm
girl,
saying? And I
exactly.
think sometimes we think like, oh, I don't want to be too arrogant. I don't want to be too da. But most of the time, if you're thinking that way, you're not arrogant
You're
enough.
not. It's the because it's the people that need to take it down a
Like the
notch.
people that are arrogant don't know that
They
they're
don't know
arrogant.
that. They
Because
just be
if they
chatting their
did, they
shit.
wouldn't be arrogant. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you're stuck in this loop of like, oh, am I doing too much? You're probably not doing enough.
Oh.
You know? And you will learn how to balance those things. But you gotta lean into it first. How you gonna learn the full extent of it if you're not even letting yourself get to the full extent? You
Right.
know? So if there's anything I like, you really do have to take yourself seriously. You have to present yourself like you already are successful.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're telling yourself that you're not there yet,
Right.
you know? And that's going to impact how much time, how much discipline, how much energy you spend committed to this.
Absolutely.
You know, because if you're thinking of it as a hobby, it's going to be a hobby. And if that's what you want it to be, that's perfectly fine. But if you don't want it to be a hobby, you can't treat
You
it like a
can't
hobby,
do it. Yeah.
you know? And of course,
Mm.
like life is going to life. Like you got to pay your bills. You got to pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of the survival aspect, the monetary aspect of everything,
Right.
everything else needs to show this is what I'm doing with my life. This is what I want to
Absolutely.
do with my life. And I'm making this choice actively every single day. And I will be successful. It can be daunting, of course, because, like, girl, you go and you tell people, yeah, I make music. Oh.
Oh.
And I get it. You know, it's a
Right.
lot of unserious people making music. Like, I
Yeah.
understand. But I'm different.
I swear. I swear I'm
I
different. I
swear I'm different.
swear.
And at the end of the day, if you don't get it now, you'll get it eventually. That's none of my
Absolutely.
business.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that to say, yes, I think the most important thing that changed the way that I approached my music is if you want this to be serious, you need to treat it like it's serious. You need to take it seriously, take it as seriously as you would if this was your full-time job, if this was your full-time career.
Right.
Don't neglect the things that you need to do to survive, but in every other aspect, down to the way that you introduce yourself, down to the way that you talk about yourself, everything, your Instagram, everything needs to
Yep.
reflect that this is who I am first and foremost, period.
Oof. Amen. Oh, I can't imagine a better way to wrap up this episode. I cannot. I might as well just hang up on you right now,
Oh
girl.
my gosh.
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, that being said, you have hit every single mark. You have gone above and beyond. You are the top guest of Teddy's Final
Hey, I got
Collab.
air flags.
Yes.
Period.
So, to wrap this up, I like to play a little game that
I
I
love
know,
games.
right? It's fun. It's called Collab, Marry, Kill.
Ooh.
Yes. Oh my God. Ooh.
Wait, this is kind of juicy. Okay.
Hate that shit. I was like, oh, is she gonna like
This
this?
is genius. You better trademark this shit, girl.
So, collab, marry, kill. So, pick three artists who you actively listen to. Because don't go saying no, like, oh, JoJo Siwa. All right. No shade to her. She's a hardworking young woman and she gets the bag.
Very hardworking.
She
Yes.
works very hard.
Very hard. I love the
That being,
gowns.
being said, name three people. One who you would want to collab with, a guaranteed collab. One who you, what did I say, collab, marry, kill. One who you have to listen to for the rest of your life, and that's the only person you listen to. Kill will be you never, ever, ever listen to this artist again.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't
Okay.
make me choose the people for you, because I can make it hard.
Okay, let me think. Let me think. So, okay, collab.
Yeah.
This one is hard because there's a lot of options.
Sure.
But I'd say off the top of my head,
Yeah.
in support of women's history, Thames, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Need that.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. Can only listen to this person for the rest of your life, nobody else.
Christ. I'm trying to think like who has a very expansive because I just get bored so easily.
Yes. Yes.
Jesus Christ. I think I could listen to SZA.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Oh God. Nina Noor, like, oh my
That's
God.
nice.
because like it could be SZA. I could also do Brandy, but like,
Okay.
oh, for fuck's sake,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so many. Like I
I
don't
hear your
know, because like
question. Yeah.
Fireboy DML is there too. I could listen to him. You know what? Let me say, scratch all of that. I'm gonna say Wizkid because
Oh,
his discography is long
is
and
long.
robust enough that I wouldn't get bored for some time. I think I could do Wizkid.
That's smart. Okay. Now, who will you never ever listen to ever again?
This is shady though because
No, because it's we're not picking people that are bad. Remember that. We're picking people who we like, but we
we
have to
like, but I just
sacrifice.
okay. I have to sacrifice them
Yes.
to the gulag.
Yes.
Okay, who can I sacrifice to the gulag? Oh my gosh. Um, I will say, oh my gosh, my brain is like having a fart right now. Okay, like girl. Okay, I will say. I'm literally having a fart.
I know. I know. That's the point of the game. See? Yeah.
Okay, for the sake of giving an answer,
Go ahead.
I will say Georgia Smith.
Really?
I like some of the Gaga songs. I like her music, but I don't think I would die if I couldn't listen to her again.
That's actually a good one. Okay. I see where you went with that, and I agree.
Yeah,
Cause
but
yeah,
she's
I
good. She's good.
she's good, but I'll
But
survive.
if yes, I could survive without listening to another song.
All right, yeah, that's a tough one. You've done well. You've done well.
That was
Yes.
really difficult. It would have been even. I feel like well, it would have been more difficult if you gave me the names, but even me having to think of them,
Mm-hmm.
spooky.
Spooky, sweet. I was thinking of giving the names, and I was like, let me pick the names of the people who she said she likes already. So I was like, maybe I should pick Brandy for her, SZA, and then I was like, I no, I can't. I can't pick number one mom. I can't pick mother. I can't do that. I'm gonna just let her do it herself.
Because like I can't go out and start killing my moms.
I
Like,
know, I know, I know. So I gave you the choice, but
and I love that for you. Thank you so much.
yeah. Well, that is a wrap on our Teddy's Vinyl Club Women of the Month Women's History segment with Sid and
Love women
Simi.
gotta be one of my favorite genders.
What am I trying to say? I support women's rights and
And
wrongs.
wrongs.
And
I'm a
wrongs.
big proponent of women's wrongs, actually.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually really, you know what? I specifically just support the wrongs.
Exact. Thank you. Thank you. I need one of them shirts.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you. Let
Thank
me,
you.
you know what? Send me your address. Not even just, I'm not just a link. Send me your address.
I have music definitely that's going to be coming out this year. I'm very excited for the direction that my music is starting to take. So just keep up with me on all platforms, especially TikTok. I'm really fun on there.
Nice,
Everything is
nice.
my name, Simi Liadi. But just stay tuned. I have music coming, but until the music comes, stream Closer, stream MSB,
Yes,
stream Sunset,
yes,
stream it
yes.
all,
Stream
babe.
everything.
There's
Ah,
something in there for everybody.
oh my gosh. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. This was so much fun. I had such a great time.
I hope we can do this again soon, and maybe I'll have to
Absolutely.
catch you outside. Maybe I have to catch you and see.
Girl, you gonna get listen. Uh Me and outside, we know each other very well.
I like
So
that.
if you ever in the DMV, you probably will stumble
I
on me.
like that. I like that. I like
Like,
that. Well, I will catch you soon. Bye bye. I will let's talk soon. Let's talk
let's
soon.
talk soon. Let's chit chat soon.